three things that I would say about dealing with a traumatic event. And the first one, is phase one is like prepare and face it. It's gonna happen, right? If you've got glaucoma, if you've, I don't know, had a spinal injury, or someone that your wife has died, whatever, know that it's gonna happen. And we're part of nature. We're not separate from what. I mean, we just have to, as human beings, go through a certain process. And Kubler-Ross points that out. You're going to go through, I'm looking at this again, grief, denial, anger, bargaining, or excuse me, you're going to go through denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Just get over it, Don't fight it. Know it's going to happen. The more you fight it, the more it's just going to keep persisting, right? As the Borg say on Star Trek, resistance is futile.
Yeah.
So once you can turn and face the music, it's like you've made a huge step. I would say definitely we'll talk about trauma. You know how, like, when a deer gets attacked, say, and they survive, or an animal gets attacked and maybe a dog gets attacked by another dog and it survives, and you see how it shakes afterwards. And then it's okay. It gets up and like, all right. Our body has to do the same thing. And there's an incredible book called In an Unspoken Voice by Peter Levine that talks about trauma. Definitely the best book on trauma healing I've ever read. I would recommend that for anybody, whether they're going through trauma, they have a friend who's going through trauma, or they just want to learn more about how the body works. So, you prepare and face it, and be ready for it. It'll save you a lot of grief. Get professional help if you need it. The second part, which I kind of alluded to, is that the healing happens in your body. It's not going to be a mental thing you do that gets you healed. It's going to be something that's much deeper and has to happen at that sort of core brain level, almost like the lizard brain level. And that's what that In an Unspoken Voice speaks to. And the sooner you can get into that paradigm and maybe find somebody that does somatic work, which is body work, body healing. I didn't know there was such a thing before. They're incredible if you get a good one. And then the third big piece that came out of all of this is it's about story. I mean, I've been a writer all my life, right? Story. One of the things I've learned is we as humans are meaning-making machines, and the way we make meaning is through story. But stories are just sort of a fabrication of the brain to keep up with, something starts, this is my belief, something starts in the lizard brain at that deepest body level, and then we kind of have emotions that come around that we wrap on top of that body feeling comes up, and then our mental side comes up with some story to wrap the whole thing together and try to, in its own way, make sense of it. And that's what we do with stories. So, until I know your story, I don't really get you. Until I can wrap a story around the experience I've had, I can't quite wrap my brain around it. Well, story is just something you make up. And yet it has power because we buy into it. And then all of a sudden it's sending the signals back down like, this is the way it is. Well, guess what? You're not your story. And if you want to change something, you can rewrite your story. And once you can learn to use that mindful side, that same voice inside of me that was saying, do your bucket list, comes from a deeper side. That part of you that, like, if you do meditation, where you can learn to watch your mind kind of going, they call it the monkey mind. And it really is. I mean, this thing just wants to get in the captain's chair and it's and it's to be in control. That's how it justifies its existence. When you can learn to see that piece from that deeper, ever-present side of you, all of a sudden you can kind of detach from it. You can see it's just creating stories. And then you start to work with it. It's like it wants a story, so it's all right. Well, let's give it a new story that makes more sense. It serves this deeper side of me. And that's been a huge lesson for me too. I would say meditation is one of the most powerful things you can do. Just learning to watch, sitting still and watching your mind at work.